in March of last year in Georgia. 19 years of age. Her name was Catherine Newhouse, was shot dead by her own father, Howard Newhouse, who went on to take his own life in 2019. Authorities accused the father of holding Catherine down on the bed by her throat, but the misdemeanor charge was resolved before trial in 2021 in Pennsylvania. Crescenda Ann Bright fatally shot her children, 16-year-old Jeffrey J.J. Bright and 22-year-old Jasmine Kennedy. J.J. was a transgender boy and Jasmine was non-binary.
This is not an attempt to remind you of the deaths of these young folk. That's not what we're doing here. We're doing this to show the connectivity of what's happening in what is supposed to be the most progressive state in this country. Right outside of LA in San Bernardino County, California, the Chino Valley Unified School Board of Education actually voted to support Assembly Bill 1314. Now you might ask, why is a school board voting on an assembly bill? We'll get to that in a second. But think about this. This bill is so controversial that it got no support in the assembly, but now you got school boards up and down the West Coast in California voting on whether we will have schools outing teens if they're transgender or not. Not just if they use a different gender than they were born with, but even if a child goes into a transgender bathroom, we will out those children to their parents. This is not okay. For so many reasons, we have so many teens that the only safe space they have is schools, and now we're endangering them, putting them in positions like Dr. Richey was just talking about in the video we just watched. And it wasn't even a close vote. We watched the board vote 4-1 on a resolution to say that they will out teens if they use transgender pronouns or if they use facilities that are for teens. This is definitely gonna cause harm to teens. This is the effort of Bill Astley. Now this is important for people in California and outside of California, and I'm gonna tell you why. For 10 years, Democrats sat silent while Republicans took over state legislatures, and we saw conservative policies being passed up and down around this country because we did nothing, we didn't act. Right now, what we're seeing is Republicans at state legislatures take and give information to moms of liberty, and actions just like this are being used to attack kids. We're gonna wait for 10 years when all of the school boards all over this country are controlled by MAGA white Republicans. We should note that I said white, and I'm gonna tell you why. Majority, percentage-wise, of the kids in public school are not white students. These are minority students. This district in San Bernardino County is one of those districts. It's 80% minority. But if you look at the people screaming about this, they were white people. Their kids are not just not trans students, their kids are not even represented in this district. This is the problem that we're facing. We have the loud minority making decisions for the majority of people who are using these services. In this case, public school. This is absolutely disgusting. And we see and hear this minority of people making rules for majority, and it's costing people lives. We know it's gonna cost lives because we're not speaking hyperbole, we're seeing it. We seen it in the video, we just heard about it, right? This board meeting was so packed. Hundreds of students tried to participate. A black top educator in the state tried to speak and they wouldn't let him speak. They told him, this is not your meeting, you weren't invited, go back to where you're from. And everybody that were acting like the moms of liberty stood and clapped every time he tried to speak. But when the people who were in opposition of this assembly bill tried to speak, they were cut off, they were rejected, and we refused the ability to speak. Parents at this meeting were not allowed to speak. We did see and hear from the valedictorian at the school at Chino High, and what her statement was, unbelievable statement, said, none of you on the school board have transgender children, and neither do most of the parents supporting this resolution. My God. Why do the lives of transgender children bother you so much? Many transgender children and kids are not accepted in their own homes. We saw that in the video when people were killed, and they turned to school for safe havens. If the parents of the students do not know that their own child is transgender, then it's their own personal problem. And I'll go a step further and say, not only is there a problem, it's also for a reason. These children probably don't feel safe. This is me modifying the statement of Dana Moria. We also know, people in this meeting said that adopting this resolution will cost lives. That too is not hyperbole. And I keep saying that because people don't understand that there are parents killing their own kids. And that was articulated by Dr. Richey. And those were just some of the issues. We are sitting silent while we watch these kids be outed by legislation like this. Now, the good thing about this is this legislation can't be adopted right now because the assembly will kill it because of the democratic control. But what I'm telling you is that's California. What's gonna happen when school boards up and down North Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee start passing these legislations and supported by the state legislature? We're gonna see kids being killed by their parents and family members. This is so scary. Sharon, what's your take?
I find it devastating. I find it so many things, Mayor, when I look at the makeup of the San Bernardino School Board, and then I consider that they appear to not have hearts, empathy, just love for just somebody else. Do I have to understand everybody to love them? Can you just start with love? You're going out of your way to hurt people. I find their actions threatening, okay? Because you're right. Not everybody has a safe place. A lot of people don't have a safe place at home. They don't have a safe place or a parent who's willing to listen sometimes and even learn from a child. Their behaviors are daft and threatening. And the lone Mr. Bridges, the only one who said, I can't vote for something that's gonna, well, by de facto, it's going to hurt people. Only person who made sense. And I don't even know if that was strong enough. He's got too little company on that board.
Yeah, it's definitely tragic. I think I was just to end up and finish this off. I'll simply say, what are we gonna do when these are somebody else's kids that are closer to you than just transgender kids? As a Black man, I have the luxury of going home being protected by my family because they too are Black. So when I say I had a bad day, everybody can relate to that just without me saying certain things. Transgender kids don't always have this, and it is dangerous for us to sit and be comfortable. Jesus also said, what we do for the least of these, we do for him. So all of these so-called Christians acting in this manner, I can't wait to see their conversation with the man at the pearly gate.
Or they're gonna have to explain some flawed behaviors, just like the rest of us. But how low can you go? Couldn't agree with you more. Until recently, transgender kids didn't even have an example on television, okay? And now it's still flat-footed, one-sided, cartoonish sometimes. But it's the first.